Now I want you to hold on tight, because something has happened today that is going to completely floor you. And it has nothing to do with Hollywood deals or streaming platforms or jars of expensive raspberry jam. This is far more personal than all of that. This cuts right to the very heart of what it means to abandon the people who love you. Thomas Markle, 81 years old, one leg, currently battling pneumonia in a rehabilitation center on the island of Cebu in the Philippines, has just announced to the world that he has found love again. And Meghan, we are told, found out from the papers, as usual. Let me just sit with that for a moment, because I think it deserves a proper moment of quiet contemplation. This man, Meghan's father, the man who lit sets in Hollywood for 3 decades and won 3 Emmy Awards doing it, the man who paid for her education, who raised her when he did not have to, who had 2 heart attacks on the very eve of her wedding to Prince Harry and still tried, desperately tried, to be there for her. This man has had to travel to the other side of the world to find someone who will take proper care of him. And he has found her, a 46-year-old Filipina nurse named Rio Canedo, who had absolutely no idea who Thomas Markle was when she first met him at the rehabilitation center where she works. She thought he was grumpy, apparently. He turned out to be a gentleman. Funny how the people who actually spend time with him seem to discover that rather quickly. Rio has put him on a strict no-sugar diet. She hides his chocolate and rations it to 1 small piece a day as a treat. She pushes him to drink more water. She sits with him. She holds his hand and he beams, which is a word I do not use lightly, but that is precisely what the journalists who visited them reported. An 81-year-old man who has survived strokes and heart attacks and a leg amputation and years of public humiliation, beaming. When was the last time anyone in that Montecito mansion made Thomas Markle beam? I genuinely cannot recall. Now, there is something about this story that I find rather telling in the most uncomfortable way imaginable, and it is this. Rio Canedo is 46 years old. Meghan Markle is 44. The woman caring for Meghan's father is only 2 years older than the daughter who found out about all of this from a newspaper. She won that thought for a while. I certainly have been. And what is Meghan's reported reaction to this rather lovely piece of news about her elderly father finding happiness in his final years? She is reportedly shocked and concerned. She worries, according to sources speaking to Woman's Day, that Rio might be using him, but the age gap is suspicious, that the love story interviews are a bad sign. I had to read that twice. I genuinely did, because I wanted to be absolutely certain I had understood it correctly. The woman who has made an art form of selling her own love story, her own trauma, her own family ruptures to the highest bidder is concerned about someone else selling a love story. The woman who has given us documentaries and podcasts and memoirs and Oprah specials and Netflix series and lifestyle newsletters about her own feelings is worried that an interview about her father's happiness is somehow inappropriate. One cannot quite decide whether to weep or put the kettle on and have a stiff think about things. Thomas himself is magnificently unbothered by all of it. The haters will hate, he told the Daily Mail. But to be honest, I don't give a damn. Life is for living. There's nothing more important in life than love. And there is something almost startlingly dignified about an 81-year-old man with 1 leg and pneumonia and a daughter who will not visit him saying that. He did not rage. He did not perform. He simply simply said what was true. I find that rather more impressive than anything that has come out of Montecito in quite some time. He has, rather poignantly, removed all the photographs of Meghan from his walls. Those who visited him years ago, when his home looked rather like a shrine to his daughter, will understand what a seismic shift that represents. He has not replaced them with bitterness. He has replaced them with Rio, with physiotherapy 3 times a week, with plans to begin aquatherapy and eventually be fitted with a prosthetic limb, with a quiet life among people who, as he put it, respect and care for older people. People here don't have all the worldly goods we have in the West, he said, but they respect and care for older people. And I thought, reading that, how very damning a sentence that is, without being intended as one at all. An 81-year-old man has had to travel to the Philippines to be respected and cared for. His daughter is in California charging people eye-watering sums to learn how to arrange flowers. There are children in this story too, and that is where my heart really does contract with something rather like grief. Thomas has said it makes him deeply sad that King Charles has met Archie and Lilibet only once or twice. How strange it is, he said, that me, over here in my little world, and him, the King of England, are both in the same boat. We both can't see our grandkids. Now I want you to absorb the full weight of what has just been said. The King of England and a retired lighting director recovering from a leg amputation in a Philippine rehabilitation centre have more in common than you might think. Both of them are grandfathers who are not permitted to be grandfathers. Both of them are men who have been tidied away, made inconvenient, kept at a remove from children who deserve to know them. And both of them, in their very different worlds, are simply getting on with it with rather more grace than anyone could reasonably demand. Thomas says he still loves Meghan. He says it plainly and without conditions. She is my daughter, but I don't know how much time I have left, and I want to spend what time I have being happy. And that, to me, is not the statement of a bitter or vengeful man. That is the statement of someone who has waited long enough, who has held the door open for years and watched it swing in the wind, and who has finally, gently, decided to go and sit somewhere warm instead. His daughter Samantha maintains regular contact with him, and his son Thomas Jr. visits him every week, living just 20 minutes away. There is a family around this man. It is simply not the family that gets photographed at Californian polo matches and wellness summits. It is a quieter family, a more loyal one perhaps. And now it has one more member, a 46-year-old nurse who hid the chocolate and held the hand and watched a very tired old man start to smile again. As for Rio herself, the question of marriage has been raised because Thomas did raise it somewhat tentatively. He said he would marry Rio if it was beneficial to her, but that it was not something they had discussed, and that for now they were simply enjoying life. Which is, when you think about it, rather a tender thing to say. Not, I want to marry her in the grand declarative manner, but I would if it helped her. A consideration of her needs before his own. One notices that kind of thing. What I keep returning to, and what I think the whole of this story really illuminates, is a rather simple truth about choices and their consequences. Thomas Markle did not choose to have a stroke. He did not choose the blood clot that took his leg. He did not choose to be estranged from his daughter. What he did choose, eventually, was to stop waiting for something that was not coming and to build something real with what he had left. He chose the Philippines over bitterness. He chose Rio over an empty room with photographs on the wall. He chose physiotherapy and aquatherapy and a no-sugar diet and a woman who calls him a gentleman over a continued vigil beside an unanswered telephone. And Meghan, we are told, is stressed about it. Her anxiety has reportedly spiked. A new drama is apparently looming. Well, I should think it might feel rather uncomfortable to open a newspaper and discover that the father you have not visited, the father you sent a letter to via a spokesperson while he was in intensive care, the father who said publicly that he would move on because he did not know how much time he had left, is beaming in a rehabilitation centre in Cebu with a woman who makes him feel safe. I imagine that does spike something. Britain has always understood that family is not simply a story you tell about yourself. It is a practice. It is the showing up. It is the phone call made in private before it is made in public. It is sitting with someone in a hard place because they sat with you once. Thomas Markle sat with Meghan through every chapter of her early life. He is sitting now with his own chapter, in a room in the Philippines, with his Emmy Awards on display and no photographs of his daughter on the walls, beaming at a nurse who rations his chocolate. Good for him. Good for Rio. And I hope, with everything I have, that those 2 grandchildren in Montecito get to know him before it is too late.